What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Screencast. My name is Nick Scarpino, and I'm joined by the big dog, Kevin Coelho,
What's up, dude?
and the best person in all of gaming, Blessing Adeoye Jr. Blessing, I never
I like
remember
that
what your
intro.
moniker is.
No, that's fine. That's fine. But
Yeah, I
I
feel like
like
that
one.
worked.
Yeah,
Okay,
I want to
person,
adopt
like
that one.
There it is, done. I forget. I think Tim. What does Tim call you the king of Halloween? What is your normal? We'll get to that.
I feel like it changed a little. It's like the new face of video games, but like
No, I like that.
I don't know if I like that one anymore because I've been here for like 2.5 years. I feel like I should be like the established face of video games at this point.
You definitely are. Like, what do they call? Like you go from being a rookie to being like what? Like a resident of video games. I don't even know.
Video
Now
game resident.
There you go.
Resident
I like
Evil.
that. Ladies and gentlemen, of course, well, thank you for joining us on Screencast. We are talking about Stranger Things Season 4, Part 2. We're going to go around the table in just a little bit with some spoiler-free reactions to what this was. And then after I tap my hat, we're going to go into full spoilers. But before we do that, of course, hey, did you guys know summer is upon us? And we've got this wonderful tropical collection over on KindaFunny.com/store. We got shirts, we got Kinda Funny sunglasses, we got all that stuff. So please head over there and check it out if you want some fresh new gear to wear by the pool this summer. And also, in other news for housekeeping, July 10th, Cobb's Comedy Club. I will be there opening for one Ron Funches. And the whole group will probably be there too, coming in, hanging out, watching. So if you're in the Bay Area, in the San Francisco area, go over to cobbscomedyclub.com, I believe, or just Google cobbscomedyclub.com and check it out, or go to ronfunches.com. He's got tickets available there.
Is he the biggest act that you've opened for?
Yes, by far.
Hell
by
yeah.
far. Most acts that I open for usually are my friends, but I'm usually too drunk to realize how poorly they're doing. So this is going to be really fun. I'll stay super sober for this, and it's going to be super fun to watch Ron Funches work because he's a badass, and we're very excited to watch him go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. They've wrapped up the 4th season of Stranger Things. Season 4, 2 episodes that we watched are Papa. Kevin, how do you feel about that? Papa.
I like it.
And Piggyback. And together, these episodes were 85 minutes and 150 minutes all in.
Separately.
So that's sorry. I was trying to add them up because I thought it was 4 hours, but it's not 4 hours. It's actually an hour and 15 minutes and 2 hours and 30 minutes, which gives us 3 hours and 45 minutes, close to 4 hours.
Almost 4 hours. Almost 4 hours. They fly by though, let me tell you.
They really do.
Do
Kevin, let's start. Oh, okay. Never mind. Blessing.
You
Let's
don't
start
think
with you. What do you got to say about this, Bless?
I had fun in the season. I think it was a good season. The last episode was too long. Like I had to take multiple breaks during that last episode. I was entertained, and I kind of get why they went for the 2.5 hour episode for that last one because there's like a resolution that lasts for like 40 minutes that would not have worked as a standalone episode. So I get why they did it on that hand, but I kind of wish they found a way to divvy it up just because I felt like it was too long. But like aside from that, I did have fun with this. I think part 2 really wrapped back around to where all the complaints I had about part 1 ended up not being a complaint anymore. Like I didn't like the Russia stuff. There are certain characters that I wish were treated better. Like Will in particular, I felt like for the last like 4 seasons even, I felt like he hasn't been given much to work with. And part 2 of this last season, I feel like they really did good by that character. The only character that I wish they did more with was Mike, who is placed as the main character, but doesn't really do much to make me like care about him as a main character. Yeah, but like aside from that, like the part 2 I thought was good. The production, the climax, which I know we'll talk about in spoilers, but the way everything kind of culminates in the climactic moment, I think is really cool. And yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it.
Kevin, what do you think?
I really enjoyed this whole season. I really enjoyed the way they ended stuff. I guess like the very, very end, I kind of have not issues, but like I feel like it didn't hit as hard as I wanted it to, but like I thought I really liked the length of all the episodes. Like it was nearly 4 hours is a lot to commit to on a Friday, evening. But like I was so committed and like I enjoyed every minute of it and just sitting there with my blanket on my sofa, just having a great time. Like I'm all about that. Like it was the same thing when episode 1 ended. I was like, oof. Like I kind of the same thing that I thought last week, where it was like, or last with part 1, where I was like, really wish there was a week from now. Like it was coming out a week from now, just so that I have time to like talk and kind of take in everything that has happened. Would be like I thought that would be cool. But it was also a relief to be like, fucking skip the intro. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
Let's get a conclusion that was really good. A really solid season and some really phenomenal acting.
I agree. I really enjoyed this season. In fact, I think this season was much stronger overall than the last couple seasons. I liked the season. I liked season 3. I liked all the stuff in the mall, and I liked the introduction of the new characters with Max and with what's her name? Maya Hawk. I'm
Is that
blanking
Eddie?
on her name.
Robin.
Robin, thank you.
Oh, Robin,
I'm
gotcha.
talking about season 3. They were introduced there, and then of
Yeah.
course having Eddie. But I just feel overall that this story is now sort of starting to we're starting to see the culmination of what the Duffer Brothers have been trying to do with Stranger Things, because originally they had talked about like, hey, we have a certain thing we want to do. We think we can get it done in 4 seasons, but thankfully they didn't feel stressed to pile all that in
It
there.
was originally said 3, right? 3
Was it supposed to be 3? Well, now it's
I
supposed to be
think
5,
so.
which is great,
Well,
and I'm all in for it.
I think it was 3 and then they said 5. So
Right,
like
perfect.
they've only deviated from the plan once, I believe.
And I think that's great. And you can tell they have a plan. But I'm with you guys here too, where I think I just like the setup for a lot of these mystery stories. I like them investigating. I like them trying to figure out and you know, what's going on and suss out what's going on a lot better than I think some of the culmination of what that story was. So when we hit the climax, I was a little bored. I was like, we could have probably sped this up. And I think a lot of that is we just have all these great characters that you want to see do something. But then you end up with some of these characters falling by the wayside, like Will and like Mike, to your point. I think that they just don't have much to do when you have all these other characters that I think are a little bit more interesting, because we've sort of seen Mike and Will's journey with season 1 and season 2. But hopefully they'll all come back and won't be 30 years old by season 5, because I'll tell you what, right now, Will, Mike, they're kind of getting there. I'm like, you guys are college kids now at this point.
Yeah.
Which is nice. But I really enjoyed this season. I think it's definitely worth watching. If you're like Tim and you've never seen a bit of Stranger Things, I'm so jealous.
Has Tim never seen Stranger Things?
He has not. He's not.
What is he
Single
doing?
episode.
I don't know. And I've only been able to influence Tim positively in 3 situations. All right. One was when he was a little kid. I was like, go into online media. You're gonna love it, kid. And he doesn't remember that, but he will one day. He'll remember me. It's gonna be crazy, like a time travel thing, like Miss Marvel. Spoilers for Miss Marvel.
Jesus, I've definitely not seen that.
Why are you the way you are?
2.
Why?
2, I was like,
God
Tim, you
bless
gotta
him.
watch Top Gun. You're gonna love Top Gun. He fought me on that. He was like, I don't want Top Gun. I don't want that bottle. I was like, put the bottle in your mouth, and I gave him the bottle that was a 14 Tomcat. Now he loves Top Gun.
That did happen. I was there for that.
And then 3, definitely Shrek. He should watch Shrek. But after that, for sure.
Wait, no, Tim hasn't seen Shrek.
He's never seen Shrek. It's one of his claim to fame.
This is the person that you let lead this company. That is Tim.
That's
He's never seen
wild.
Shrek. I know.
Like, I knew he
He's
hadn't
building
seen
this off
8
a
Mile,
cliff.
which already is crazy, but to not see Shrek.
Well,
8
I
Mile's
get.
really crazy. Do you get it? Like, because that's
Yeah,
insane
because
to me.
he loves that so much that he's like, I don't want the experience ruined of Eminem, right? Isn't he a huge Eminem fan? I understand that. It's why Cool Greg hasn't read like the last book in the Harry Potter franchise,
He just-
because he's like, I don't want it to end. It's too much emotion built up into it. But I digress. Coming back to Stranger Things. Final thoughts before I go into spoiler free. Should people watch this season?
Oh, 1000%. Yeah, I think I'd honestly say this was the best season of Stranger Things.
Kevin?
I don't know if it was the best. It might be the best season. It's definitely in contention in my eyes for the best season. And I think that, yes, like you should watch all of Stranger Things. And it's so far, they're doing real well. I hope they can stick the landing with the next season. So yeah.
I agree. All right, everyone. Tap of the hat. We're going into full spoilers right now. Holy shit, can you believe everyone died? No,
Crazy.
I'm just joking around.
I mean, I can't believe like some people died. You know, like the
Well,
fact
we can
that
talk, we're in spoilers now. So we
Yeah,
can say
I mean,
names, we can name
Eddie
names.
dying.
Eddie
right?
dying
It
was wild to
pretty
me.
wild.
That was sad.
I
and-
think
Go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing about this season that was a little upsetting to me is like I kind of felt like it was a little predictable in the sense that like when part 1 ended, everyone was speculating like someone's gonna die, and I was like, I'm pretty sure Eddie's gonna die, and if it's not Eddie, I think that the little redheaded girl,
Max.
like she might be in danger,
Mm-hmm.
and like nail on the head on both those kids, you know.
I think, well, Max isn't dead yet, and that's a question I have.
Well, I mean, is she though? Because like the
She's in a
upside
coma.
down portal opened when she died, right? And then it's clear that 11 revives her, right?
Right.
And then
For sure she died.
the end of the episode, the portal opens back up.
Yeah.
So did she die?
My prediction.
That's why.
My prediction is, well, because remember they told this that we have to have 4 deaths, 4 portals. It opens up the cross, whatever, which so like basically the 4 deaths open up the massive gap, which was crazy that it actually did. And then Max was supposed to die. Elle brought her back. My question is, I think she's going to come back, but who is she going to come back as? Because
I think
she's coming back as Vecna. I think she's going to be the antagonist to season 5. That's my prediction.
I could see that.
Because Vecna doesn't have a human form on this side yet, and theoretically, I guess he could just come through in the crazy long arm body.
his human form is that deformed,
right? But I think it would be cool. I guess, because the Demigorgon can come over. So I guess theoretically, the people from the Upside Down can come over, or the creatures can. But I think it'd be so cool to let that actress, to let Max be the bad guy for a while.
Get possessed.
Yeah, I think that would be so cool, and have to fight Elle because they were like best friends. How cool would that be? Anyway, Duffer Brothers, you get that one for free, but I swear to God, if you use it, I want at least a $5 Starbucks.
So just to be clear, when you say you get that one for free,
you don't mean it.
You just don't mean it at all.
That for free.
I want 1 Starbucks, and you guys have to listen to my Star Wars fanfic. That's what I want. That's what you guys have listened to me for 30 minutes, and I want to tell you how I would have done the prequels. I would tell you how I would have done the prequels.
Dude, the usage of running up that hill in the final episode,
so cool.
Like maybe some of my best usage of music in a TV show period, just from the way that they build it up through part 1 of the season and have that be Max's favorite song and have that be the thing to save her, and then the way they build that into the soundtrack. Like maybe one of my favorite moments in a TV show period is the all the parallel actions happening of Lucas versus the jock, right? Elle versus Vecna, with the kids at the restaurant with like Elle in the ice tub or whatever, like trying to keep her good. All that shit happening at the same time in the buildup of running up that hill, fucking exquisite.
Yeah,
incredible.
It was incredibly well done. I getting all these characters, corralling all these characters in general is difficult because you have to give them each something equally, if not, kind of comparable as far as entertainment value to do. I felt it started getting a little thin when Hopper had to kill the Demigorgon, and they were like, if we kill these 2 things, it's really going to hurt Vecna. I was like, how is it going to hurt? Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a little...
I think that and the those kids getting choked out for like 30 minutes.
Which kids getting choked out?
The teens,
Steve.
Steve.
Oh,
Nancy,
yeah, against the wall.
And
Robin.
Robin.
He was just holding him there. I don't think he was trying to kill him. I think he was just.
No, I mean,
I
think it was like they cut to them being choked. Several times. I think what was going on is like the time for them wasn't equal to the time for other people.
I think that was just editing of like, we need to prolong this because the other bits of action are taking a while, and we don't have anything else for these kids to do aside from getting choked. But yeah, I definitely feel that. And every time I come back to them, I was like, are they good? Like, these kids should be purple in the face by now.
Right? They should be very dead at this point.
But to just to take a step back, to go over how this plan needed to happen, right? They had to create a distraction over at Eddie's place in the Upside Down. And just, you want to talk about music? Did you guys see that Master of Puppets hit like #1 on Spotify? And I'll tell you why.
Dude, Running Up the Hill did
like
the same
9
thing.
times. Oh yeah, I've listened to those 2 songs on loop.
Have you seen all the TikTok videos of like Master of Puppets like came out right before like 2 weeks in the world? It would have come out 2 weeks before this event or something, maybe like a month before.
Oh,
that's wild.
So it's like everyone's like, Eddie's a fucking genius. Like somehow he learned all. Yeah, he like without the internet, he was able to figure out all the like musical shit, like all the notes, and fucking just nail it.
Man,
Kate Bush apparently won a Guinness World Record too for like #1 hit, like achieved like the longest time between #1 hits, I think. Yeah.
Good. I mean, good for her, man. It's one of those things where I took out on the chin last week. I was like, I've never heard of the song, yada yada. And everyone in the comments, or not last week, excuse me, for part 1, and everyone's like, "What are you crazy? This song's awesome." I'm like, never heard of Kate Bush. Still, I've listened to her other songs. No idea who this person is, but kudos to her because that Running Up a Hill song is the jam. Metallica, on the other hand, I have heard Master of Puppets, and when he started playing that, I was like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, But what a cool way to get those planes of action going, right? So one team has to sneak through, and then the other team has to go to the mansion or that house on our side in Hawkins, and
Mhm.
and go through and create that and find Vecna, hold him there, use Max as the bait while the other team goes in and sneaks in while he's like unconscious and kill him. What a fucking awesome
I
idea!
I think that's really cool. I just think that the execution wasn't perfect with
It took a little
having it like I wish that they were like sitting and waiting and had just sprang up to go get Vecna at the last minute instead of them just being choked on a wall for like 30 minutes.
Yeah,
It just
they needed to create that
because
tension.
yeah, yeah, but like they did a bad job. And like the moment once the tension was like brought up to everyone and was
Mhm.
like, hey, like everyone's gonna die. And like then it cut to everyone, like them being choked, the Demigorgon running around, like about to kill Hopper, and 11, I don't know, getting knocked out or
Yeah,
something.
fighting Vecna.
Yeah, oh, fighting Vecna, that's what it was.
Whoa.
Yeah. Like that meant something, but it just I feel like them cutting back to these people being choked for like it must have been like 30 minutes.
I like-
it was a
It
solid
made me
30
feel
minutes.
like either these people are either fully dead or like there's no there's no real stakes for them because like they're I guess safe. You know?
See, I liked it because I did feel the stakes. Like during that moment, I was like, somebody's gonna die. Like one or two people might not make it out. And I there's a certain point where you could guess that it was Eddie because Eddie was pretty much running towards his death.
Well, he
was the one
wasn't in
where-
that. He wasn't in that group, right?
Yeah, he
No,
was
he's
like
just saying in general, like
in general, like between the different
Okay.
planes, right? Like he was running toward all like the flying bird creatures, and Dustin's like
Yeah,
running after
yeah.
him. And it was like pretty obvious at that point that he wasn't making it out. But even Lucas, I thought he was gonna die fighting
Me too.
against the jock, just because the jock had a gun. And I could see them making the choice of the least likely cause of death would be another human as opposed to all this demonic shit
Mhm.
going on. And so yeah, let's have the jock take out Lucas and have that be a whole big thing. I'm glad they didn't go that direction, but I did feel those stakes throughout for at least some of them. Like I kind of agree in terms of the three teenagers getting choked out that I didn't really feel the stakes there as much because it was pretty you could see that they were gonna get out. But for other stuff going on, I was like, oh shit, somebody's not gonna live here.
Somebody also needs to teach Nancy to shoot people in the head. Have we learned nothing from Infinity War? Shoot him in the head, Nancy, with the sawed off. I love that she got the sawed off shotgun, by the way. Everyone
That
else
was
got
cool.
it. Steve got an axe. And
I
she gets a sawed off, which is badass.
I loved when they were like sawing it off. They're like, I'm pretty sure this is a felony.
Yeah.
Which it is. All that stuff I would say dragged just a little bit. And I think the disappointing thing for me for this, or one of the only really disappointing thing for this whole season, again, I loved it, so I'd absolutely watch it again, was I just feel like the cast with Mike and Will, and the older brother whose character I can't remember his name, and
Jonathan?
Argyle Jonathan. I just feel like they did not give them anything really fun to do the entire season. And don't get me wrong, running around in the Tortuga Brothers pizza van was hilarious. And the guy with the long hair, I think his name's Argyle. I think that's the character's name.
Yeah,
Is
I believe that's right.
incredible. And I love when
He
he
was great.
goes to the other Surfer Boy pizza place. They have this sort of weird hidden code of stoner bro culture.
Yeah,
Where he's
yeah.
like, let me just do it. He goes, okay. And they give him weed and he just leaves. But them sitting around and like holding Elle's hand as she goes in and actually does all the stuff we want to see the hero do. I felt like that fell a little short for me. And candidly, I think the Mike and Elle relationship, I just don't think they have the best of chemistry as far as those two actors are concerned.
I mean, Mike
And they
doesn't
just
have
give-
chemistry with anybody.
No,
Like that's
he's
my
just-
issue with Mike is that in the episode they even Will pretty much even says, "Hey, you're the heart of the show," right? Like when he shows him the painting and like circles him and he's like,
Right.
"You're the heart of the group" or whatever. And the show tries to pitch him as being the like
Right.
this centerpiece of, oh, he's the main character, he's the guy that's the leader, he's the heart of it,
Mhm.
and he has the least heart out of any of the characters, right? I think a lot of that is like writing. I don't put that on performance necessarily, but like I look at Dustin and I'm like, Dustin's the heart, right? Or, like
Dustin's
Lucas
the
is the
heart.
heart, and like even
Right.
in the last episode when Will goes on the monologue of like speaking to Mike about what Elle thinks about him, and really it's what Will thinks about. At least that's what you're
That's what
supposed
Will
to.
No,
thinks
yeah,
about Mike.
100%,
Yes,
yeah.
for 100%.
Yeah, and like he like turns and you can kind of see him tearing up and crying.
Mhm.
Even that, I was like, okay, finally they're giving Will something to do, and I feel this. I've never had that moment with Mike this season.
Well, it's weird because of the prior seasons, Mike and Will have sort of been like interchangeable. I mean, Jesus, they had to have their
Yeah.
haircut totally different, so you didn't confuse who was talking at any given point with the two. But I did think that Will's story just had more heart to it. I mean, it had the characters that I always vibe more with, and the ones that I'm most interested in, the ones that have the most potential for growth. That's why I think we all liked Eddie, right? Eddie kind of started off as a loser. He was, he's not a miscreant, but like, yeah, he kind of cast aside. He's one of the Hellfire Club. He's a dork. He doesn't really fit in. Everyone kind of thinks he's a freak. And he's had to, he doesn't come from a great background. He has to sell drugs, and he's been labeled a murderer and hunted down. And then, of course, just has to prove to himself that he can be a hero for once in his life. And that's a very, very compelling thing. And I thought that was very, very heartfelt when he's like, I didn't run this time. And Dustin's like, yeah. Which is good. I'm tearing up right now. But
that was a good moment. It was
when it comes to the Will and Mike stuff, we didn't get anything close to that, except for that moment where Jonathan pulls him aside and is like, I'm going to love you no matter what. Which I thought was like,
that was really sweet.
That was good.
Yeah, and that's like that's another thing. Like I think part 2 did such a good job of giving the characters that just didn't have shit to do in part 1, like at least a little bit more to do. Because Jonathan, I wasn't digging in part 1 of the season, and Jonathan's another character who should be, I think, one of the main focuses, at least like as far as how the older teenager characters are, right? Like he's one of the main ones, and the part 1 totally turned him into a stoner and put him alongside Argyle, which like it's fine if they want to do that, but I still want some more for this character to do. And it wasn't until the finale of the season where he is having that moment with Will, where I'm like, okay, thank God, like he's an actual character now. But I still fear for like next season. Is he still going to be a stoner? Are they going to give him more to do, or is he going to revert back?
Yeah, I mean, he has like an upsetting ending, right, where he still lies to Nancy, right, about like, oh yeah,
they both lie to each other, right? I think. Oh, he lies. Yeah. That's right. He lies about the acceptance, but he's like, "Are we okay?" She's like, "Yeah, we're great." But really, she's kind of going back to Steve, and he's moving on.
I don't like that shit either.
I do, because that's reality, right? You're living a few states apart. You're going to different colleges. He wants to be closer to home for his brother because of all the trauma they've been through. And I understand that. You just want these two high schoolers to have the communication abilities to be like, hey, we've moved on. We're just moving on to a different phase of our life, and we're still friends, but we're just not in love with each other anymore. It's the same with Mike and Elle, right? Where I didn't buy that. He's like, I love you. I'm like, do you? You didn't, I don't know. You don't really talk to her anymore. It's kind of weird.
I get the feeling that, well, no, I think that with what's this kid's name? Will's not Will's
Jonathan.
brother. With Jonathan. No, with Jonathan.
Steve Harrington.
Will.
I feel like Hopper coming back is going to be a huge thing that's going to make him like no longer feel like he has to like protect and stick around. Like I'm curious, and like I'm kind of bummed that they didn't go more with the like aspect of like, hey, I can't go to college. I have to stay here and protect my family. Kind of story. And it like they didn't. I don't feel like we got too much time to explore what was going on with him, and that's kind of a bummer, because like I feel like that there's a pretty cool story that could be told there.
And I think that we're going to hit that in season 5. But before we talk about that, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a word from our sponsors.
I love that sound. It's the sound of another sale on Shopify, the all-in-one commerce platform to start, run, and grow your business. Shopify gives entrepreneurs the resources once reserved for big business. So, upstarts, startups, and established businesses alike can sell everywhere, synchronize online and in-person sales, and effortlessly stay informed. Scaling your business is a journey of endless possibility, and I know the KindaFunny store at kindafunny.com/store uses Shopify to sell all our merch, including all those cool Portillo shirts you guys have been so great about supporting with. I love how Shopify has the tools and resources that make it easy for any business to succeed from down the street to around the globe. Reach customers online and across social networks with an ever-growing suite of channel integrations and apps. Go to shopify.com/KFgames, all lowercase, for a free 14-day trial and get full access to Shopify's entire suite of features. Grow your business with Shopify today. Go to shopify.com/KFgames right now. Shopify.com/KFgames. No one likes waiting on a paycheck, especially when you've got bills due. Good thing there's Chime. Now you can get your paycheck up to 2 days early with direct deposit. That's up to 2 more days to save, pay bills, and generally just feel good about your money situation. But Chime is more than just about getting paid early. It's also an award-winning mobile app, checking account, debit card, and optional savings account. So what are you waiting for? Hopefully not your paycheck. Get started with Chime today. Applying for a free account takes less than 2 minutes. Get started at chime.com/KFgames. That's chime.com/KFgames. games. Banking services and debit card provided by the Bancorp Bank or Stride Bank NA members FDIC. Early access to direct deposit funds depends on your payer.
And I'm with you. I think that's fascinating. Right? I think they do a good job of having all the interpersonal relationships with these kids be kind of the heart of the story and be more fun to watch than. I mean, don't get me wrong. The demonic presence of Vecna in the Upside Down world is cool, but it's like I'm just more fascinated by people moving on with their lives and growing as humans, right? And I think we saw a lot of growth with Elle here. I don't buy that she's. I mean, the Mike Elle story. It was an interesting resolution where he's like, "I do love you." I'm like, "Do you?" I don't know. That felt weird.
Yeah.
But with Jonathan, you could
They're also
definitely see
kids,
that
yeah.
That's true. With Jonathan,
Yeah.
you could definitely tell. Like, I could see him just being like, "Listen, Nancy, I just want to stay on the West Coast or wherever they were, Arizona. Where were they? I forget. I always think everything's California if it looks like the desert. I could see him staying out there and just wanting to go to college out there and just living that life, and they just move on, and that's okay. But that's a story that I definitely want to see because I'm invested in him and Nancy. Similarly, how I was invested, and they did a great job. What an endearing moment with Lucas, where he asks her via the letter to go to a movie with him on Friday, and she's
God.
like, she just draws the picture.
She can't
of them
die
at the
because they need
movies.
to go to that movie.
Dude.
I fucking
how
felt that.
heartbreaking was that?
I'm with you that I really do like the interpersonal relationships with the characters, and I get a little bit fearful about how that stuff develops based on it being stretched out, because I feel like that might be some of the problem that I have with Mike and Will, or not Mike and Will, Mike and Elle. The fact that in the early seasons I felt that because it was genuine and they're young and like they just met, and like you can kind of see him crushing on her and that relationship develop because he is taking care of her and he's taking care of him. Right now I'm like, these two barely know each other. And I wonder if that's just like, time separating them. Same thing with Nancy and both Nancy and Jonathan and Nancy and Steve. Like this is the umpteenth time I've seen Nancy and Steve flirt in a season, and I'm like, are you guys gonna do it or not? Like, are you gonna break up with Jonathan or not? Because like you guys don't care about each other.
I hate it so much. Every time they flirt, I'm like, these kids need to stop this shit right now.
And I wouldn't be surprised if maybe by the end of the show, by the end of the next season, maybe nobody's like romantically involved with anybody else, because I'm starting to not believe any of the romances anymore. Like, it all feels a little bit old. Like, even like as far as new romances that you'd introduce or like things that would freshen it up, Will and Mike, it seems like on the table, but Mike doesn't seem into Will whatsoever. So I don't think that's on the table. And then, Robin and the girl that Robin's into, I'm sure that's going to be maybe explored next season. But I wish there was a little bit more in terms of actual chemistry and actual, like Lucas and Max have that. But, you're not going to see that much next season, aside from probably Lucas really caring for Max while she's unconscious or possessed or whatever. And maybe by season finale, you see that come to fruition. But I wish there was more there overall between the back and forths.
I think the Robin relationship with that girl, I think those two have good chemistry. It's interesting because you can see sort of where the Duffer Brothers drew inspiration from. And I'm looking for this actress's name or the character's name, and if you guys have it, let me know.
Is it the girl that Robin's into?
Yeah, because they made her look so much like Molly Ringwald.
Yes.
It's like almost distracting, where I'm like, wow, these guys really wanted this character to look Molly Ringwald. But Robin's character
Vicky,
already kind of, is it Vicky? Robin's character already kind of looks like Molly Ringwald. So they have the same problem sort of at the end that they had with Will and Mike in the first couple seasons, where I was like, these two actors look so alike and are so the same vibe that it's kind of tripped me out a little bit.
To me, it's really wild how much Robin looks like her mother, like Uma Thurman. Like, they are...
It's crazy how much she sounds like her.
Yeah. Oh,
you close your eyes, you're like, my God,
it's like she's
Thurman,
talking.
so
cool. It's just... she's such a phenomenal actor, though. Like,
she's great.
Like, the way she looks at Nancy so many times, like that, that unrequited love that's not going to get responded.
Do you think she's into Nancy?
I think she's into Nancy because Nancy's a badass. Like, I don't think she's actually into Nancy. Like,
just
we got in part one, we got her like looking through all her shit in her house, and like their relationship like keeps growing. But there's like so many moments where you look over and Robin's like like, eyes wide open, jaw dropped down, but just being like, Nancy's the coolest. And like that is some
That was
really solid
one of my
acting.
earlier predictions during part one was that Nancy and Robin would end up together. Just because I think it'd be such a great fake out to have it be that for 4 seasons straight, it is Nancy and Jonathan, Nancy and Steve, and that back and forth, and then at the end it is Robin who ends up like rising victorious. I think that'd be such a great turn. But yeah, like I do like Vicky as well. Like Vicky, I think the turn from her being with her, I forget if he was her boyfriend or
Her boyfriend,
ex.
yeah.
Yeah, and it seemed like they had an argument toward the end, right?
Yeah, it looks like maybe it was going to X because like they had some fight because
beef.
he had gone out of town or
Yeah.
something, and he
Like
was upset that the town like caught on fire.
Yeah, he
The
just
scene
left,
towards
just
the
settled
end,
out.
the scene towards the end where Vicky is like stumbling over her words and like is like kind of like rushed in her sentence. You can tell that she's a little bit flustered because she's trying to talk to Robin.
Right.
I love that shit. Like I want more of that shit.
Yeah, I think they did a really smart move in season 3 with Robin's character, where Steve was crushing on her, and she just was like, "Listen, I'm just not into that." And I think I love that, right? Because we've seen this story so many times, especially when we're drawing from a lot of the inspiration of 80s movies, which are pretty cut and dry, right? If there was a boy and a girl, they were gonna fall in love by the end of the movie. And so I like that they kind of twist our expectations that a little bit and push it into a slightly different world, and we just get to know Robin. And I love, and I've said this before, but I love whenever we have a female and a male on screen and they can just be friends. And I think that's just such a nice relation. It's a refreshing relationship to see, because the expectation from me from 42 years of watching just the classic Coke formula of movies and TV is that Steve's got great hair, Robin's cute, they're gonna hook up. But at this point, I actually really just like their relationship more as friends. I love how supportive he is of her, where he's like, he kind of pushing her out of her comfort zone, pushing her over to ask Vicky out, like all these things. I think that's great. I love that she can be his confidant with Nancy, where she's like, come on, dude, you clearly still love her. There's still something there. I think that's super, super cool. And I'm curious to see if they're gonna develop that relationship with Mike and Will on the side, because Will's still grappling sort of with his feelings in to that degree as well. And of course, he's got Jonathan there, which is going to be cool to see. I want to quickly, before we go, touch on the first episode, because we talked a lot about the climax, but I want to talk about Papa. And I want to talk about Matthew Modine's death and sort of like letting go of Elle finally.
God.
And I don't know if you guys got this or not, but there was, for whatever reason, massive Empire Strikes Back vibes in this episode.
Oh yeah.
Where he's like, you're not ready. And she goes, I have to go save my friends. And I was like, these Duffer Brothers.
Yeah,
they're just
they're
cutting
good.
the
They know
core
they're
out of
good.
me.
This whole season, I feel like it has some Empire Strikes Back vibes, especially towards the end
absolutely.
where they 1000% lost and everything's devastated, and they're teeing up for hopefully a redemption next season. But yeah, like when you look, even like I feel like when you look through the characters, there are certain analogs of like, oh yeah, no, you're this person from Empire Strikes Back, right? Like I feel like
Vecna, Vader. I mean,
oh yeah, 100%. You know, I look at like even like Elle literally uses the Force, like that is her power.
Oh
like,
yeah, 100%.
She has the Force, and like she goes and she is taught by what's the name? What's Papa? His name? I guess I can just call him Papa, right? Like
Papa.
I feel like Papa is basically a Yoda kind of figure.
No, it's the other guy's the Yoda, right?
Yeah,
The
Paul
dude that's,
Reiser would be
is still
Yoda, I
alive.
think. Paul Reiser.
Oh yeah, because he was like, you're
Paul
not
Reiser,
ready. He was like, you're not ready. Like you're not ready yet to take on.
Yeah, and Paul
Vecna.
Reiser's like, it's like we don't have time for ready. We gotta go.
Yeah, and Yoda in Empire Strikes Back told the same thing to Luke, right? Of like, yo, you're not ready to take on Vader, and Luke is like, yo, I gotta go.
And it ended up with people dying. Or not dying, but being sacrificed. Like Han Solo and Carbonite, he lost a hand. It had dire consequences.
Max is basically in Carbonite, so.
That's true. You're making some great points.
Just to clarify, Matthew Modine's character is Martin Brenner, Dr. Martin Brenner, but also known as Papa.
There was a theory I saw. It was either on TikTok or Twitter where it was somebody talking about how there's only 30 something stories that like ever get told, and if you look through like all of media, you can always find these same stories. I wonder if this is one of those where it's like, no, this is Fitz. This is one of those stories.
Yeah, this is
the hero's journey, right?
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, because I mean, Elle is I mean, if you look at it, they always talk about the original hero's journey, which was, in the Bible, it was Jesus Christ's journey, right? That's what a lot of stories are emulated, or it emulated those stories. But Elle obviously is a tragic character, right? Look at her, look at what she had to go through in this season just to save the day. She had to be tortured, she had to be put in prison. She had to be betrayed by these people that care for her. Even that last scene where Paul Reiser's like, she's allowed to leave. I'm gonna walk her out. And then Matthew Modine's character is like, nope. Right, needle in the neck. You got to go back in for one more time, and then of course the general or the admiral, the general, whoever comes in the military, who's fucking
That
awesome.
dude's
That guy's
crazy.
great. He's badass. I love that guy.
It's too much though. Like it just seems unrealistic.
I love it because it's so ET. It's so like
Yeah.
80s. This guy's just this omnipresent character that's always one step behind you. You got to keep.
I do feel like it's very ET, but like in a more like fucked up, dark. Like the fact that in part 1, there's FBI agents at the kid's house, and then they walk in and shoot them all. Like that's
brutal.
Extremely brutal, and also like, you know, like is that realistic? Like,
no, but
It feels like it's from a
like
different
a
show
hit team
sometimes.
going and killing people, and I get it. Yeah,
it
like
would
you're
be
right.
it would be
Realism is
realistic
not
if you
really the
thought.
goal.
Yeah, I mean, for sure, we're in hyper realism state right now because we're going to different planes of existence. But I think it would be realistic if you were a general and you were like, I'm in charge for the safety of the United States, and there's this rogue organization with this kid that's like can like go between planes and kill people with their brain. Like I gotta go. I just listened to a podcast on Firestarter. I forget I forget the name of it. It's the best movie never told. I can't remember. Untold. Shoot, it's Steve Scarletta's podcast, but they were talking about that, and it's like, but that again, you want to talk about aping something straight from the 80s. This is Firestarter. This is a character, a group of people who like have these extra powers, these telepathy and like ability to like pyrokinesis and all that stuff, and then the government agencies like hunt them down one by one. It's just definitely torn right out of that book, but of course we all know that stuff. Anyway, I thought Papa's death was a poignant death, and I liked that it was echoed when she had to interrupt Vecna for a second when she was trapped. She goes, "Papa's dead," and he has that moment where you see him even through the makeup and all that stuff. He's like, it hit him for a second.
Yeah,
it was good.
I like that a lot, and also I like the scene in the desert where she's taking down the helicopter.
That was cool.
Yeah,
where
it
she
was
just
very
goes
badass.
whack and it slams into the ground. That was cool. I like that stuff.
I think that's another moment for me. It's like insane that like all these lab techs are running out, just getting fucking obliterated by this dude in a helicopter, and then he's just got no problem being like, "I'm gonna put this child down."
Dude,
but like, all right, yeah, it was dramatic. It was dramatic, and I did enjoy it.
I will say the one criticism I had of that was the entire time we were watching. I was watching with some family over July 4th, the holiday weekend, and they were like, "How long does it take to get up that set of stairs?" Because the general was like, "Take the shot." I was like, "Why don't you just go up the stairs? They're just right up there." But you have to feel like maybe the facility.
I mean, he's like deep because he was in like a side holding room, right, where they had the other guy, the good guy, and you have to imagine they were all going out a secret exit. There wasn't so much secret because I'm sure they left all the doors open when they were running out, but like we saw, like was that the same facility? No, it was a different facility. But like it was a back door. Like you got, and like remember it's like a tunnel that goes down super far. Right. When they go in this elevator.
Anyway, I thought that scene was fun. I love the kids finally got there. I like the Mike and Elle seeing each other. I thought was pretty poignant. But yeah, I had one other point to make, but I think it's gone. Well, we can wrap it up here, guys. I think this was final thoughts on Stranger Things season 4 part 2. What do we think? Any final thoughts?
I had a blast. Like I really enjoyed a lot of the production elements, the soundtrack knocked it out of the park, the visuals, which we talked a lot about during part 1, but I think they again knocked it out of the park again in part 2 in terms of how the upside down looks when you get toward the end and you see the convergence of the upside down and the real world and how everything just looks fucked up. I really like the visual of that, and I think it's going to lead into what is hopefully an exciting season 5. You know, I get a little bit nervous because I like Hawkins when the general public is somewhat ignorant. Yeah. Like I think that's a cool, and like the kids are the only ones that really know, and so it adds that tension of like, yo, we got to save the world because nobody else will. In a Hawkins where, okay, yeah, everybody can see the fact that like hell is rising onto Earth. I wonder how that's going to change things. I still hope that there is this like energy of, oh, it's only us that can save the day, and like let's do it. I hope they keep that. But yeah, like I really enjoyed this season. I think the last 2 episodes for me made the whole thing worth it. Like again, I liked part 1, but I did have my complaints with it. But now that we're at the end of part 2 and Hopper has and the adult crew is like back in Hawkins with the kids, that excites me the most because I didn't love the Russia stuff, and I think that's mainly because they were so separated the whole time. I wanted more interaction between Hopper and Elle and the other folks. Now that we're here, I'm really excited to see where they take that. And yeah, I guess we probably give scores, right? For me, this season, I wish we did 0.5s. I know we don't do 0.5s. I'll give it a 5 out of 5. I was gonna say 4.5, but you know what? I'll give it a 5 out of 5. I had a fantastic time this season.
Kevin, final thoughts.
I'm with Bless. I think 100%. I think this season was really good. I think that well, I guess I'm probably a little hotter on it than he is. I'm blown away. Like when I originally heard the length of these episodes, I was like, so that's a lot to commit to. But in like retrospect, I'm kind of blown away with just like this is it all worked really well. And I did binge like both of the parts when they came out. Solid 5 out of 5 for me. I really hope that they can keep this up. And completing a story is typically, I think, the most difficult part of telling a story. So good luck, Duffer Brothers.
I'll agree with you guys across the board except for the score. I'll reserve my score for after my thoughts. It's funny because I was like, oh, it'll be so interesting in season 5 to see Jonathan go back to us and talk about. They're not gonna do that. They're gonna be in Hawkins the entire time. I forgot about the massive devil portal that's opening up in the middle of the town that they have to deal with now. And I love that final image of her walking throughout the flowers as they've lost all their color and all their life. I thought that was really super cool. I loved it this season. I love Stranger Things in general. Everyone should absolutely watch this. I'm gonna dock it 1 star, just that all of our average when it goes to the Netflix queue can be 4.5 stars, because I would give it 4.5 stars if we did the half star. Only because I feel like they've just got too many characters to deal with in a compelling way, and I don't want any of them to die. But it's just now we've got like 30 characters in this thing, especially with Hopper and Winona Ryder coming back. So I'm curious to see how they're going to juggle all that stuff, and I think they had a little bit of problem juggling it here. I didn't mind the length at all. I love the visuals in this. I love the world they've created, and I love all these characters. This thing could have been probably 2-3 more hours longer. I would have eaten it all up. But it did start to wear a little thin here with some of the characters. So I'd give it a 4 out of 5, and I loved every second of it. Ladies and gentlemen, folks watching, let us know what you thought about Stranger Things season 4. How many stars would you give it? Do you recommend it to a friend? Who's your favorite character? Who's your least favorite character? And what is your astrological sign? Inquiring minds want to know. Of course, if you love this podcast, please share it with a friend. Let everyone know that we're doing all sorts of cool stuff over on KindaFunny, including In Review, where we will review next week. We'll finish this week. I'm sorry. We will finish our Thor in review with Thor: Love and Thunder, which is going to be super cool. And then we're moving on to all sorts of other cool stuff. Until then, ladies and gentlemen, it's been our pleasure to serve you.